talk about how to manage a lot of different colors when you're working with a project that has lots of different colors going on at the same time. Whenever you're working a project like this one that's done in rows, it's really straightforward because you stitch one row and then just keep repeating that same row below and above the original row. And it's really easy and straightforward to see how to just continue from row to row. But whenever you're working projects that are not simple rows, it can be a little trickier. A pattern like this one where we've got sort of sections of color that jump across the canvas rather than being one continuous row. So let's talk about how to approach a project like this or a pattern like this. Typically what I do is I start by identifying one color that's kind of the foundation color that I know that once I work that color, it'll be easier to continue with the other colors. So in this example, it would be this dark plum row. I would work that one first and would have to do a lot of counting as I was working that row, but then it becomes really easy to just stack those other colors on top of that first one, and it becomes sort of easier and automatic as you go. But as you can see in this pattern, the colors jump from section to section and they have to travel across these empty squares. And to do that, what I do is simply sort of float the yarn in the back of the work from section to section. So whenever I need to span across some empty squares, I just float that yarn back there and then continue working the other section. And then of course you're left with all of these horizontal floats. But no problem because those are going to get covered up in the next step. So now I'm ready to add my next color, which is a lime green that's going to go down in this section. So when I add that color, I'm going to be hiding these floats and also hiding the lime green as I go. So my goal is to start stitching right here. I'm going to attach my yarn by burying it under some of my previous stitches, bringing it out right at that point where I want to make my first stitch in this color. And as I make my first stitch, the wonderful thing that happens is I'm actually stitching over those floats that I made previously. So they are very conveniently being hidden and secured with my new stitches. So now that I've completed this little section, I need to continue working my lime green color over here. So to get over here, I have to travel across these purple stitches. And to do that, I'm just going to bring my needle under behind those stitches. So this is like a float, except I'm hiding my yarn as I go. So now my lime green yarn is concealed under here, and I can continue working that little section again stitching over my floats from the previous colors. And so this is really convenient because as I go, I'm hiding all my tails so that the back has no kind of tails that are hanging out or anything back there that could snag or become unraveled. There we go. And now it's time to jump over here. So again, I'm just going to go underneath these purple guys. And now I'll continue working on this section. And so obviously once I finish these lime green colors, next I would go in and do my next color of green and again travel under this row, next color of green, travel under the corals, and so forth all the way across the project. So that's how you manage it when you're working with lots of colors at once in your Bargello.